Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to Sunday service for the Long Island Org. Very glad to have everyone here, and I'm gonna start with some music here, and here we go. Oops.
Okay.
Let's talk about something that ain't dangerous. How about this? Some things may be a little strange for us, but listen to this.
Yeah, we could start a new direction, affecting the future ahead. Spreading smiles for miles, a new kind of trend.
Want a new style? How about this? Let's talk about something that's courageous. How about this?
Let's talk about something that's outrageous.
Put this at the top of your list.
Yeah, we can start a new direction, affecting the future ahead.
Spreading smiles for miles, a new kind of trend. Want a new style? Hey.
How about this?
Come on, hit me up with the pickup, y'all.
Stuck and proud, I sit at home.
Live it up, live it up, live it up from
You're
here.
not alone. We can make this world on warranty. Pick it up, just pick it up. Take this shot with me. Spread a smile, not something else. Cause this world is really needing your help. Spread a smile and nothing more. And we'll show this world it can be restored. You wanna smile? How about this?
Oh, yeah.
If you're stuck and gonna sit at home, live it up, live it up, live it up with me. We can live this world while quarantined. Pick it up, just pick it up. Take this shot with me. Yeah. Not something else. 'Cause this world is really needing your help. Spread a smile and nothing more. Nothing more. Show this world it can be restored. Staying well and stay strong. This world is really keep moving, keep moving on. And nothing more. And we'll show this world it can be restored. You wanna smile? How about this?
All right. So here is the creed of the Church of Scientology.
We of the Church believe that all men of whatever race, color, or creed
Were created with equal rights
that all men have inalienable rights,
to their own religious practices and their performance.
that all men have inalienable rights
to their own lives, that all men have inalienable rights
To their sanity.
that all men have inalienable rights
To their own defense.
that all men have inalienable rights
to conceive, choose, assist or support their own organizations, churches, and governments.
That all men have inalienable rights
to think freely, to talk freely,
to write freely their own opinions,
and to counter or utter or write upon the opinions of others.
That all men have inalienable rights to the creation of their own kind.
That the souls of men have the rights of men. That the study of the mind
and the healing of mentally caused ills
should not be alienated from religion
or condoned in non-religious fields.
And that no agency less than God
has the power to suspend or set aside these rights, overtly or covertly.
And we of the church believe
that man is basically good,
that he is seeking to survive,
that his survival depends upon himself and upon his fellows,
and his attainment of brotherhood with the universe. And we of the church believe
that the laws of God forbid man
to destroy his own kind,
to destroy the sanity of another, to destroy or enslave another's soul,
to destroy or reduce the survival of one's companions or one's group.
And we of the church believe that the spirit can be saved, and that the spirit alone may save or heal the body.
I'm very excited about today's sermon with the topic, the Supreme Test. It's so important and at the same time extremely powerful reading that we're gonna listen to today. Here we go. The Supreme Test. It is a discovery of Scientology that people are not bodies, but that people are living units operating bodies. The living unit we call in Scientology a thetan, that being taken from the Greek letter theta, the mathematical symbol used in Scientology to indicate the source of life and life itself. The individual, the person, the actual identity is this living unit. It is the person himself, not his body or his name or the physical universe, his mind or anything else. It is that which is aware of being aware. The identity which is the individual. One does not have a thetan, something one keeps apart from oneself. One is a thetan. The supreme test of a thetan is his ability to make things go right. This of course, is a rather savage and brutal datum, for it thrusts aside all justification, reasonableness, excuses, and even does not take into account the size or obstacles of the opposition. But please note that the datum is not, are things all right around him? As this is a passive test and could mean only that he was simply sitting still. Whether things are currently all right or not is beside the point. The thetan who is making things go right may be tackling a mountain of confusion, and of course, things are not all right because what he is attacking is mainly wrong. It is whether or not he is making things go right in spite of hell or high water. That is the test. Many beings live lives of quiet correctness without ever once making anything do anything. Things around them just happen to be orderly. The social system props them up. But someday, bang, the society gets into a turmoil which knocks out the props. Then we see that there is too few present who could make things go right, and that is the end of the society. Thus died all old civilizations. Their people lived in a system correctness and things went right only so long as nothing was going wrong. Then one day, things go wrong. These sophisticated but weak beings never were able to make things go right, and so the whole society collapses. One might also ask, what is meant by right? This would be forwarding a purpose, not destructive, to the majority of the dynamics. Those urges of survival for self, family, groups, mankind, living organisms, the physical universe, spirits, and infinity or God. Aberration is by definition a crooked line. It is from the Latin aberratio, a wandering from, and from the Latin errare, to wander or to err. A sane person thinks, looks, and sees in straight lines. Black is black, white is white. The aberrated person looks toward black and wanders off in his gaze to something else and makes the error of saying it is gray. You can consider aberration in a passive way. A person is sane or not sane. He thinks straight or crookedly. Now consider aberration in a forceful way. A person looks, then an opposing force to him pushes aside his gaze or distracts it. But the really sane, forceful person look right on through and past the opposition and sees what is there anyway. Let us take real action. Mr. Q rolls a ball from A towards B. En route, opposition X pushes the ball aside towards C. As a matter of fact, here, I am going to make a small interruption because LRH instructs me actually to aid understanding. The minister should draw a diagram on a dry erase board for the congregation as he proceeds through this sermon. So we have Mr. Q here. So he says, Mr. Q rolls a ball from A, that's the ball, towards B. En route, opposition X pushes the ball aside towards C. Mr. Q then shoves the ball towards C and gives some reason he did not arrive properly at B. Mr. S rolls the ball from A to B. opposition X diverts the ball towards C, Mr. S pulls the ball back into line, and despite over and through opposition X, arrives at B anyway. You can see that Mr. Q in the first example is willing to be aberrated or pushed aside, or at least does not contest it enough. Mr. Q is aberrated. Mr. S, on the other hand, was not willing to be diverted and went right on to B. Mr. S is not aberrated. Let me do a mute here real quick, guys. Here. Good. So now society, being mainly suppressive, observes that Mr. Q never has much commotion around him. True, he never arrives and gets nothing done, but he is noisy, so he is okay. Mr. S, on the other hand, makes an awful row and bashes opposition X on the head and snarls his way onward toward B. Society says he is a bad fellow because he has fuses. Of course, he also gets something done. But in a decadent society, men are measured by how pleasant they are, not how effective they are. So Mr. S is regarded as a bit mad. Yet, when trouble comes, it is only the Mr. S's who will save the day, while the Mr. Q's all give up and die. There's another point here, however. That is purpose. This could be defined as the survival route chosen by an individual to accomplish his goal. The difference between one Thetan's forward thrust and another's is purpose, validity of. A madman can also go from A towards B relentlessly, where B is a totally undesirable and destructive point. But in actual practice, real madmen never really arrive at the B they wanted to arrive at. A madman only goes toward, but never really arrives. So he only makes everything go wrong. B must be a desirable point, not destructive, to a majority of the dynamics for rightness to occur. So there is the savage and bare datum. The supreme test of a Thetan is the ability to make things go right. People who explain how wrong it is, all going, and who have reasons why and who aren't putting it right are the real crazy people in the universe. The only ones crazier than they are the ones who are quite happy to have everything fail and go wrong with no protest from them. And the only ones even worse are those who work endlessly to make things go wrong and prevent anything from going right and oppose all efforts instinctively. I'm sorry, I will give that to you again. The word is, and oppose all efforts instinctively. Fortunately, there are a few around who do make things go right in spite of everything and anyone. The supreme test of a Thetan is the ability to make things go right. To learn more about how to attain any goal, large or small, and to learn how your dreams can become real, read the booklet Targets and Goals. The same data can also be found in the comprehensive Scientology handbook based on the works of L. Ron Hubbard. So this is today's sermon. And to me, it is so important. And it is interesting that the statement is that it is the ability, his ability to make things go right. It is an ability. That's the supreme test of a Thetan, an ability to make things go right. And it is about our attitude. Are we engaging in that ability we have? Are we calibrate that ability right and utilize it in order to make things go right? And what is our evaluation for going right? Okay, so somebody's evaluation for going right might be, oh, I want $10 million. I might as well go break a bank to steal the money and have $1 million. But is that right? He's talking about this would be forwarding a purpose, not destructive to the majority of the dynamics, right? So this is how you calibrate, how you decide about that, make things go right, on what is right. And then he says that, he says the difference between one Thetan's forward thrust and another's is purpose. And he says validity of. What's that validity of that purpose? What's that purpose? What does that purpose serve? Does that purpose serve the greatest good, or that purpose serves only you? Only one dynamic. That's a pretty interesting thing. And also, how do we feel, or how do we evaluate, if you want or not, people who try to make things go right? He gave the example about moving a ball from A to B. There might be tremendous opposition. I'll tell you from personal example, I have done things in my life that I have found tremendous opposition about. Okay, I still do. I mean, look at the opposition that Scientology found, not only in the beginnings of in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, but even sometimes now in different countries around the world. So what do? Do we try to behave only and not really take decisive action to push through what we believe in, just to be viewed as being right? Or we really push through and we communicate our message effectively to the world? So anyway, that's what I wanted to say from my side. Please make some comments. You have to unmute your computers or your phones to make a comment. I don't think I can unmute you. Who's that? Hey, hi, Wendy.
Hey, Dimi. I think this is a very good, sorry, I think this is a really great test, because, sermon. Sorry. It really is interesting that you have to look at all the different ways in your life that you can and should make things go right, and that you just have to keep persisting towards that.
Awesome. Absolutely. And looking at all different ways you can make a difference. Absolutely. Anybody else? Any comment here on this? All right. Let me see if I see anything in the chat. If there are any chat comments, just to make sure. Okay. All right. So with that said, I'm reminding everyone once again, keep up with the Stay Well and Keep Well websites and guidelines set forth by the church. Have the booklets, read them and disseminate them around. This is the How to Keep Yourself and Others Well booklet. And I am going to just play right now the What is Personal Integrity video.
What is true for you is what you have observed yourself. And when you lose that, you have lost everything. What is personal integrity? Personal integrity is knowing what you know. What you know is what you know. And to have the courage to know and say what you have observed. And that is integrity. And there is no other integrity. Of course, we can talk about honor, truth, nobility, all these things as esoteric terms. But they would all be covered very well if what we really observed was what we observed. That we took care to observe what we were observing. That we always observed to observe. And not necessarily maintaining a skeptical attitude, a critical attitude, or an open mind. Not necessarily maintaining these things at all. But certainly maintaining sufficient personal integrity and sufficient personal belief and confidence in self and courage that we can observe what we observe and say what we have observed. Nothing in Scientology is true for you unless you have observed it. And it is true according to your observation. That is all.
All right. I would like to make a couple of announcements. We are having OT committee meeting on Monday at 6:30 p.m. and This is the link, but we'll make sure that you're going to receive also another copy of that link tomorrow before the meeting. But also tomorrow, Monday at 7 p.m., right after the meeting, we are going to have a special conference call event with Mr. Tal Whitaker. Mr. Whitaker, in addition to being a very experienced Class 9 auditor in the advanced organization at FLAG, he's also one of FLAG's top CSs for the past 6 years. And he will be discussing about the impacts operating thetans are making in our environment and what you need to do to go OT. So that will be a fantastic event. And yeah, go ahead, Wendy.
I'm sorry, I did actually speak with him on Friday, and his talk is going to be more directly what you can expect on the OT levels all the way up. He works in the AO, which gets people from clear or NED case completion onto going into the OT6 course room. So he will be speaking more particularly exactly about what it is that you can expect along the way and what you need to do to achieve that.
That's even more interesting for people who that would be their next step and looking towards that. Absolutely, that's awesome. And the other announcement is about the Ideal Org event on next Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern. And Wendy, can you give some more data on that?
It's actually at 5 p.m.
Oh.
And yeah, it's okay. It's going to be at 5 p.m. We will have Michael Duff will be performing, and then we have Mr. Drew Johnson will be speaking. He actually will be talking about powering your imagination and creating what the future that you want to have.
Awesome, very good. Also, I would like to make one more announcement that once I close today's Sunday service, I would like to ask you guys just to remain for 1 minute. I would like to say something after that. But I don't want it to be part of Sunday service. So if you don't mind staying after the closing just for 1 more minute. Any other announcement? If you are speaking, hold on. Mitch, if you are trying to speak, you need to unmute. Just click the unmute button. Oh boy, we can hear you. We can.
Maybe if you hit unmute all first.
It doesn't allow me. I don't have the all unmute. But he is not muted from my side. He is unmuted. He's on an iPhone 212621. There's another 718. No, I think that should be Malcolm.
Yeah, Mitch is listed as 914419. I think that's Mitch.
Okay.
I do know that we basically are looking for people to prepare for when the org opens. They're going to have a very special graduation as soon as the org opening does occur. And so we want people to get themselves prepared for going to that. There's a maximum of 11 people that can be in the org at one time. So do whatever you can to prepare for that. And as soon as it's possible or happening, we will let you know. And put your name on the list of, yes, I want to be there, so that you're part of our first call. So we get the 11 people. You're part of the first 11 people.
Awesome. Very good. Thank you. All right. Let me just, I'm just going to read the prayer for total freedom. And then, if you don't mind, stay on for a moment, please. Here we go. May the author of the universe enable all men to reach an understanding of their spiritual nature. May awareness and understanding of life expand so that all may come to know the author of the universe. And may others also reach this understanding, which brings total freedom. At this time, we think of those whose liberty is threatened, of those who have suffered imprisonment for their beliefs, of those who are enslaved or martyred, and for all those who are brutalized, trapped, or attacked. We pray that human rights will be preserved so that all people may believe and worship freely, so that freedom will once again be seen in our land. Freedom from war and poverty and want, freedom to be, freedom to do, and freedom to have. Freedom to use and understand man's potential, a potential that is God-given and God-like. And freedom to achieve that understanding and awareness that is total freedom. May God let it be so. All right. And to LRH, and this concludes Sunday service. So I'm going to stop the recording right now.